Fine, fine. How are you doing?
Okay. Not too bad, love, not too bad. So, would you like to share your experience with the book?
Yes, as a matter of fact, have kind of an update, I think, since the other day when we kind of did the precursor meeting. So, well, just to begin, so my experience with the book, I started reading it, or I read it thoroughly when you first introduced it to the group, I believe at the beginning of the month, at the beginning of March, and I've since read through it
Mhm.
twice, or listened to it. I
Mhm.
used the audiobook version, and just said, well, you know what? These a lot of these principles I recognize, from church, from teachings in Christianity. I said, but I'm going to, I guess, apply them more deliberately, and actually,
Okay.
follow
Wait,
the course of
no,
actions as he suggested.
okay, all right.
I'm
Mhm.
sorry.
No, because I was going to say when
I'm
you
sorry. You
said
were
more
saying something.
deliberately, I, yeah, no, when you said more deliberately, I was actually going to ask you to expound on that.
Oh, okay. Well, basically what I did, because I wrote notes and now I can't find them, of course, with all the excitement. But well, basic the first idea, of course, being having that very clear thought, a very clear and specific thought about what it was that I wanted to accomplish, and
Mhm.
focusing in on that, and then. Uh, right after that, and I'm sure the experience is different for everyone, but I started getting these thought flashes, these just, I guess, spurts of inspiration on how to make that happen. It's like I didn't have to put any,
Mhm.
I mean, other than
Mhm.
being consciously aware of what I wanted, um,
Mhm.
really didn't have to go searching and lamenting over how's this going to work. Things really just started
Mhm.
coming to me. Um, and then the other steps that I followed, including, taking action right then and there, if the opportunity afforded me to act, or the information that I received afforded me the opportunity to act, I didn't dwell on it. I acted, uh, for
Okay.
what little bit I could do in the moment. And then, but also keeping it present, ignoring appearances, focusing in on the truth of the matter, and for me, the truth being
Mhm.
that I will have what I say. It's
Amen.
it's meant to broaden me. It's meant to expand me. It's not meant to limit me. So it falls within the realm of being able to have what I say. Um,
Mhm.
and then staying in that creative space versus that competitive space. Um, and that one wasn't difficult, but I still had to be mindful because, I work with other therapists, of course, and,
Mhm. Mhm.
every once in a while people get a little braggy, and they start talking about how they have a private practice, which, kind of makes me chuckle a little bit because they're also full-time, with the facility that I work with.
Mhm.
So I'm like, well, wow, maybe, whatever. They're bragging a little bit.
Mhm.
And so I just have to be mindful that, you know what, everyone in this building could be wanting to do what I want to do, and I would still
Mhm.
have enough room for me to do to the fullness
Amen.
of what I want to do. I'm not competing with them. I'm glad they have what they have. I'm going to have what I want to have.
What I want.
So
Mhm. Mhm.
yeah. So just kind of staying focused in those ways. And Mr. Waddles was absolutely correct. The hardest thing is remaining in belief.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part, not the effort that it takes to actually execute. That's really not hard at all. It's sticking with
Mhm.
it. But
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
so like from there, I talked about that workbook, or the workshop that I kind of envisioned myself having. Well, I knew that before I can get to a workshop, I needed material. I need a workbook or something,
Mhm. Mhm.
to work from.
Mhm.
So I started developing this workbook, I finished it within a couple of weeks because, again, just kept moving as things came to me, as it came to me how to organize it, as it came to me, what content to put into it. I moved on it. I didn't lament over it. I
Mhm.
didn't waste my time with, is this the right thing? Is it, what do other experts say? I didn't do any of that. I just focused in and said, okay, at least get the content out on paper. We can edit later, you know.
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
got it done
Mhm.
within a couple of weeks. And in today in listening to your perfection blog, I had to laugh because I had to take myself out of, okay, we're not editing anymore. Put it out there. So I've pushed it out there. So I pushed it out there today, and I've already gotten some feedback and people wanting to see what this workbook is. What is this thing? Because I attached it to the
Okay.
website, and I said, hey, if you join my website, you get this workbook for free. And so I've already got a couple of hits
Okay.
on that. And I know it's kind of like day one, a few hours in, but it's so encouraging to me that,
Mhm.
okay, there's an
Mhm.
audience
Mhm.
out there. And all I have to do is keep believing in it. Uh, following through on, my social media expansions and
Mhm.
making sure that, people actually know that it exists, and then the rest
Mhm.
will go from there. And I still, and even before I finish that workbook, I've got 2 or 3 other ideas I now have to work on. So it's not, even though that's done and I'm celebrating that it's done, but I know there's more to do, you know. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
just it's just really exciting, that
Mhm.
this is it's all opening up. It's all working out. And I've had some challenges here, and actually it's really weird. In the last 48 hours, I've had some pretty major challenges not related to this workbook, but could have been distracting enough where I would have
Mhm.
stopped working on the book to turn and focus on that and lament over that and, be upset over that.
Mhm.
But when the challenge showed up, I said, oh, okay, well, yeah, it's a challenge. I dealt with it, and then I turned my attention back to the things that I wanted. I didn't let that
Mhm.
distraction overtake, I didn't let that appearance overtake the truth.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Yes.
and that little
Yes. Yes. Yes.
thing which would have distracted me and worried me in any other situation, it resolved. It totally. I took my attention off of it. I
Mhm.
went back to the things that I
Mhm.
need to be paying attention to. It resolved itself. Everything's moving forward. So the book works.
Which 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 was
It
no?
worked.
Which was your favorite chapter?
Oh
Jamila,
goodness.
which was
I,
your favorite
yes.
chapter?
My favorite chapter. I don't even know if I really broke it down that way. I think I really liked his discussion on the creation versus competition, because that spoke to me,
Okay.
because in studying business and looking, and of course looking at how people interact with each other, everything is all about competition, about I got to get to
Competition.
this first.
Mhm.
There's only so much to go around. I've got to get to be one of the first 10. I've got to be one of the first 20. And,
Mhm.
and that's just such a stressful state to be in, that I just really love the fact that he said, this is all about creation. There's
Mhm.
as
Mhm.
much as there is, and there's even more if more is needed. And
Amen.
for
Yes.
me that was just, it was comforting, and
Mhm.
it, like I said, in any situation, if I ever felt like I'm never going to get this done, I have the realization of knowing if I don't get it done, it's not because someone got to it first, it's because I gave up. Not because
Yes.
someone
There
took it,
you
not
go.
because
Yes.
someone took it from me.
Yes.
So yeah, so
Yes.
that
Yes.
that was
Yes. Yes.
the
Yes.
the, the
Yes.
sections that resonated with me the most.
Were there any sections that in the book that were just like, no, I don't kind of relate to that?
Well, that whole talk about, the steam engine, I was like, wow, when did you write this book? No, I'm kidding. But like, what are you talking about? That's a little before me.
Yes.
Um,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I don't know what. Well, it took me a moment to digest his concept of, you know, I don't even know how to phrase it. The part where he was saying, you can't be healthy studying disease, or you can't be rich focusing on poverty. Now, I knew what he meant, like from a person. Yeah, there was and I understood what he meant, from a personal standpoint. That how can I focus on my health if I focus on every ache and pain that comes across me? Then I'd be more focused on, I have a problem, versus I'm healthy. I can do whatever needs to be done physically. I understood that on a personal note, but there was a statement he made about. It was almost to the extent of don't do charity work. Like, don't do charity work with, say, people who are impoverished if you're trying to be rich. Like, don't expose yourself to that. And it took me a moment to kind of digest that, because I'm like, well, I don't know. Like, I could understand if, say, I were susceptible to feeling that type of hopelessness, then I would, or the things that come along with that poverty. And I could see where if I were susceptible to that, falling into that, the sadness or the hopelessness that can go with that. But I didn't exactly agree that I should avoid that while I'm on my own quest for richness. If anything, I would see that as an inspiration, like, oh my gosh, I'm really needed here as far as whatever I can contribute to the earth. I need to be doing the best that I can absolutely do to affect change. So I guess that's where we differ just a little bit. Yeah, that was the only place where I was kind of like, I don't know about totally avoiding, like trying to be 100% pure. It's very hard to be. Yeah.
I think that because when I actually read that, because I speak at a women's shelter for abused and abused, battered women, children and pets. And when I read that, I was like, oh, really?
Oops.
And then as I sort of contemplated that, what I realized was I am not there in the capacity to fix, to help, to give, I guess, false hope to any of those ladies there. And I think this is why they actually like me. They say that I'm a straight shooter, which I am. I'm a straight shooter. I'm there to tell them that they can, if they choose, do for themselves what they want to do for themselves. Because at first I was like, oh, wow. But you see, I don't see them as homeless. And that, ironically, I don't see them as homeless. And I realized that as I thought about it, for me anyway, my contemplation on that was that if I align myself thinking that, oh my God, these women are homeless and blah, 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 I can see where that will interfere with my ability to manifest. I can see it as clear as day. But ironically, I don't see them like that. How they got there is through choice. And how they're going to get out of there is through choice. And I know choice works. Choice is the first law in the universal law of attraction. Choice, you have to ask God first and in truth. If you ask God with a lie, invariably you won't get what you want. But you have to ask in truth. And so therefore that's how I show up. You know, because I thought, cause like you, I was like, oh, well, that's a little mean. But I can definitely see with the cycle of people how he said, I believe he used the phrase like, you know, giving them a loaf of bread actually perpetuates their wretchedness.
Yeah.
And he's right. I have seen women through there, and really and truly, them coming through there hasn't helped them. For some of those ladies, not all, but I would say 90%, it's a hindrance. It truly hasn't impacted their world other than it gave them somewhere to sleep for 2 years or a year. It hasn't changed the behavior. And it can't change the behavior because the people are the way that they are. The people who run it, they're just designed to get them in, get them out, get them housed. No, the name of the game is they should be changing or at least giving people tools to change their behavior. So I could definitely see that. I could definitely, and even more so now than before. So I can definitely see that. You know?
And that whole situation, it reminds me of a story I once read about a man who was walking through a field and he saw a butterfly trying to emerge from its chrysalis, and it was struggling. So he took out a little penknife and he cut cut it and to help the butterfly out. The butterfly's wings never formed because the act of breaking through the chrysalis was pumping blood to the wings in an effort to make the ring strong enough to let that butterfly fly. But because the man had gone and done it for him, so to speak, the wings never formed, and that butterfly limped along until I'm sure it was eaten. But it never, well, I mean, it's a sitting duck, so to speak. It never learned, it never could spread its wings. It was, the man, didn't let it continue to struggle. It assumed that it was suffering in its struggle rather than acknowledging that it was learning in its struggle. To build up the fluid in its wings and ultimately fly. So I guess just like the perspective you're coming from, because you look at the ladies as they're where they are because of a series of choices, and so therefore making a different set of choices will change it for them. You're not studying the poverty that I think Mr. Waddles was talking about. You're not studying the poverty. If anything, you're bringing the richness, you're bringing the abundance with what you're trying to teach them to do, rather than sitting there lamenting and there's just so much going on in the world and da-da-da-da.
Exactly. They don't get to talk about their history in my class because, as I say to them, I couldn't care less. I don't care what's happened to you. I care what's going to happen to you. I don't care what's happened. I care what's going to happen. Anything that's happened to you, can't change it. You can't change it. So let's talk about it. What's going to happen? And that's all. Truly, that's all I care about. What's going to happen? That you can have some control over. Anything that's gone, you can't control that. You can't control that. It's already gone. It's a done deal. So no. So all in all, did you enjoy your experience with this book?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have actually already ordered the trilogy. So the other two, the Science of Being Well and Science of Being Great, I do want to read those and see what he has to say in those areas.
Those are good. And again, the Science of Being Well when you actually read it, it's a little bit like the steam engine thing.
Uh-huh.
It definitely has the dated, but the concept, the actual concept for health is fairly sound. It definitely can be applied to, well, most of it. Having read it, it can be applied, but it's a little dated, but the concept is definitely there. The concept is there, and the science of being great. The science of being great too is it's good as well. He also has one, and I believe it's only on a Kindle, where he's talking about Christ and the Bible, and that's good.
I saw that on Amazon. I saw that one on Amazon.
That's also good. But the science of being great is definitely good. It definitely rolls into the science of being rich. Like identifying and recognizing God as the advancing presence, and blah 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 blah. That's when you start seeing his fundamental beliefs are in the one with Christ, and of course the science of being great. But no, this actually is a really good book, and also the Florence Scovel Shinn book is an excellent book. That's one of the books that I actually cut my teeth on, to be honest with you. The Game of Life. That's one of the ones that I cut my teeth on. Excellent book. Excellent book. So, darling, is there anything that you would like to add? Any insights?
No, just basically, for those of you who have read the book, apply it. It's certainly, it's actionable. It works.
Yeah.
And the only thing it requires on your part is belief.
Amen.
Belief and action.
Let me just ask you this, and I'm sorry I cut you. What was your thought about chapter 7, which is gratitude?
Oh, goodness. That one, I loved his explanation of gratitude, just in that sense of it's an acknowledgement of, there's something outside of you that is trying to help you, that is trying to work with you and get you, to where you want to be. And something here that I thought was interesting, I wrote down, that gratitude keeps you from dissatisfied thought. I thought that was a very interesting way of looking at gratitude, that when you're thankful for everything, you don't have time to not be thankful. Right. You don't have time to be, witchy about things, and complaining, and when you start to when you acknowledge, okay, whatever it is I said I wanted, everything that happens from this point on is going to line me up with that. So even the supposed negative experiences, or even the negative people that you come across, be thankful for them as well, because they're getting you closer and closer, as long as you're willing to see it that way. As long as you're willing to see it that way. So, and you also said here, don't waste time getting angry with wrongdoing and wrongdoers, because they are agents in creating your manifestation. So even when you're wronged, you're still right. You're righted in the end. And even the Bible says that and it does.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. So yeah, I did enjoy his take on gratitude. It's more than just saying thank you. It's that acknowledgement.
Exactly.
That everything is lining up. So even that little, the hellion I used to work for, she lined up, she helped line this up, just as good as someone who's standing there literally helping me build the business plan. She was just as helpful as a person who
That's right.
my
No.
right-hand person. But as long as I continue to see her that way, I can kind of smile and laugh about it, because if I saw it any other way, I'd be looking to
It's
put out a
not so
hex or
good.
something. I'd be, right.
I hear you. I hear you. But no, anyway, darling, as always, thank you so much for participating, your insight. And I'm really glad, because this book for me is a powerful book, and I'm glad it's something that you were actively able to utilize in your life and to actually see results.
Yeah.
That's always nice, to see results. So on that note, sweetheart, I'm going to wind up. Jamila, thank you. As always, blessings to you. Appreciate you, and I hope you enjoyed.
You're very welcome. I always enjoy your talks and your blogcast. Always.
Okay.
So thank you.
All right. All right, sweetheart. Thanks a lot, Jamila, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye, love. Good
Okay,
night.
bye.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to end this, and I'd just sort of like to say thank you, everybody, for attending this webinar. I hope you found it beneficial. The synopsis at the front end was definitely to give you a good idea, at least of my view of the book. You can find me on the Laws of Attraction in Action. And of course, you can email me at drwendy@itsmylifemychoice.com and drwendy@thelawsofattractioninaction.com. I'm so used to saying the other email address. Once again, thank you so much for attending this webinar.